He went from being the model cop for hundreds of children to becoming a soulless monster on the run from justice.
He waits until she's asleep and shoots her in the back of the head.
Hears was an exemplary officer with a dream marriage. However, a horrible event turned him into the protagonist of a criminal chase never before seen.
Mila is found lying on the bed and is apparently dead due to a single gunshot wound to the back of the head.
The main and only suspect in Lyudmila's death was her husband. Dan had left no trace of his presence at the scene and made an escape that turned him into one of the men most wanted by the American police and Interpol. However, behind the murder, he hid dark secrets that revealed the double life that the now ex-officer was leading.
He visited escorts, he would frequent strip clubs, and in fact there were some allegations that he may have even dated some other females that were of high school age.
Dan Hears had gone from being a trusted and beloved person to a terrible criminal who was on the run from the police. The murder paralyzed an entire community, and it wasn't until 13 years later that the story of one of the most intense investigations in US history would finally come to an end.
We first told you that Dan Hires has been captured in China. He's accused of gunning down Lyudmila Hires in their Goose Creek home more than a decade ago.
Yo creo que esta persona sí tiene alguna especie de remordimiento, pero no lo suficiente como para aceptar el castigo, sino que se fugó. Pero eso es lo que me hace sentido como con toda esta historia como cuentas, como por el lado del deber ser, de que como errores en la función de inhibición de repente, porque al final, claro, cuando uno sigue mucho el deber ser, está constantemente inhibiendo impulsos.
In total, 13 years passed before Dan was arrested. A fugitive from justice, he began to give English classes in China, where a woman finally recognized him and reported him to the police.
Oh my gosh, I was so happy. So happy. Finally her family can get justice. They're such sweet people.
Here's capture marked the end of an investigation that revealed the former cop's sordid double life. Even though he was married to Lyudmila, the killer had made sure to satisfy his dark perversions.
It's like, just don't tell anyone. This is our secret.
Lauren Ramsey was only 8 years old when she met Dan. They were both students at a karate school, and it was there that the 32-year-old approached her to seduce her. His desires were of a horrible perversion.
I did trust him. He was brought up in the church from a small town. I mean, good Christian family.
The thing is, Hears always had his good cop disguise on, so no one suspected what he was up to. To his wife, he was a cold but exemplary man, and to the community, he was a respectable officer and a role model.
Sometimes try to touch me in inappropriate places, and I didn't really catch on. I just kind of like blocked it out, didn't want to tell anyone. He told me that they wouldn't believe me if I told. He was like, I'm a police officer, they're not going to believe a little girl.
Yet, since it's easier to catch a liar than a thief, Lyudmila would finally discover her husband's sins. Although she supported him for the first few months, she finally decided to talk to the police to describe her husband's behavior.
Being an ultimate betrayal and him facing additional charges that would carry more time in prison, I believe that Dan Hires used that as a motive to kill his wife and flee.
The grisly crime started a story that belongs in the movies. It took 13 years for the perpetrator to be apprehended and finally receive the punishment he deserves.